I don't know that we're going to change anybody's mind about this. And so I just leave you with the idea of, you want to know what's really best, go to the one who knows what's really best and find out how you should raise your children. And say, I don't care what the world says, because the world does not know. The one who made children knows. Hi.
We're here.
We are here.
Yep. And you're here. I feel like Bob Ross when he always talks to the camera right before he starts.
Yeah.
Right now we're going to paint a whole bunch of happy trees.
That's it.
Yeah. We don't make mistakes. We make happy accidents.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about parenting today.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at all the stuff that's happening in the news. Parenting is really out of favor, because so many organizations and individuals are saying parents don't know what's good for children.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we are going to let children make up their own mind, or we're going to tell you what you should do for it.
Right.
Interestingly enough, the whole idea of a socialist society is where the government becomes God and tells you what to do and how to do it and when to do it and what you're going to get paid and what your job's going to be and
that's convenient.
how much of it you're going to give to other people who don't do anything.
Yeah, it's very convenient. The children are the future. So you don't know what's best for your kid, but we do.
Of course.
So just leave the parenting to us.
And people always use a fairly current example, Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
The things that are happening in America today with the allowing children to do what they want to do and people actually controlling what that is, saying, you must do this because this is really what you need to make it good for you. That's exactly what Nazi Germany did, and that worked out fine.
Mm-hmm.
You had people turning in their parents.
Yep.
Their parents were sent to jail. They were killed.
You break the authority.
Yeah. And, well, we'll get into this. But
yeah. Well, who is the one who installed the family from the very beginning?
You know, I was just thinking about that.
Okay.
Somebody
from the same wavelength.
Probably. Somebody years ago said, you know, when you get a new refrigerator, for example, you get the manufacturer's handbook, the one who made it. It tells you how this refrigerator works, and if you want to do this, you do this. If you want the ice water, you do this. If you want, this is how it works. Somebody said, God is like that. He's not only the creator of everyone and everything, but he's also the one who gave us a handbook. He gave us the manufacturer's book to say, you want to have a good thing? You want your kids to be all they can be and really be good? Here's how you do it. Here's how you be a parent. The fact that we don't have good parenting doesn't mean let's take the kids away from the parents. What it means is let's help the parents train and understand what's the right way to raise a child. Because if you do it the manufacturer's way, it doesn't void the warranty. If you don't do it the manufacturer's way, you voided the warranty. And you know what happens to stuff when the warranty is voided? It gets kicked to the curb.
You know, in Ephesians 5, we're told about the roles of each member of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 5, verse 22, Paul says, "Wives, be subject to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ also is the head of the church, he himself being the Savior of the body. But as the church is subject to Christ, so also the wives ought to be subject to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, so that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of the word, that he might present to himself the glory in all the church in all her glory, having no spot or wrinkle, but that she would be holy and blameless. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his own wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Christ also does the church, because we are members of his body. For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two will become one flesh." Mm-hmm. And he goes on, and it says, "The mystery is great, but I am also speaking of reference to Christ and the church. Nevertheless, each individual among you is to love his own wife, even as himself, and the wife must see to it that she respects her husband. And then he gets to children.
Ooh.
Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor
Interesting,
your
he says, in the Lord, because that means going back to the handbook and going, what does God say about how to be a parent and how to raise children?
Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with the promise, so that it may be well with you and that you may live long on the earth. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. That pretty much lays out the handbook right there.
It sure does.
And, for parenting, Scripture often says, if in Proverbs, that if you spare the rod, you hate your child.
Right.
In other words, if you see your child doing something that's not honoring to God and does not honor the family or does not honor what is right, and if you don't discipline them, if you don't say, hey, this needs to be done better, right? And maybe they do it again, and maybe you get a little more firm on the discipline. If you don't do that, you're actually saying, I hate you.
That's right. And let me make a comment too, because I've talked to people about this particular scripture, which says, if you spare the rod, you spoil the child.
Yeah.
And people say, you shouldn't beat your children. No. The rod is not only for beating. A rod was used for giving beatings.
Yeah.
That's true. But a rod is also a measuring stick. If you take the measurement that you want your child to live up to, and you take that away, you're sparing the rod. You're not showing your child, I know you're trying and you're right here, but we need to try a little harder so we get up to here.
Yeah.
That's also the rod. The rod measures where the child is in their growth and development. If you take that away and let them do their own growth and development, you hate your child. Now, those of you who are going to say, I love my child and I don't have to follow some God's rules because I don't believe in some God. That's okay. If you choose not to believe in God, he says, hey, that's fine. I'll deal with you after you die. That's it. Remember, you don't want a voided warranty.
Yeah, God has given us children. Children are a gift from the Lord. And he's given them to you with the responsibility and stewardship of knowing that, hey, you're supposed to raise your child in the Lord. That means teaching him what is right and wrong. And you can't be a good parent unless you yourself know what's right and wrong, and you get right and wrong only from God's word. And if you don't, you have what we see here in Dwyane and Gabriella union, because, I was going through social media the other day and I came across this. And this is their son, their 14-year-old son. He goes by Zaya, but he's fully dressed as a girl. And they actually promote it and encourage it and say that he's brave or she's brave and living her best life. And it's like, no, guys. This is the exact opposite of what you should be doing as parents. But I want you to watch this clip. They actually got an NAACP award for leadership.
Wow, heroism in the face of...
Yeah, and so I want you to watch this clip, and then I want to talk about it.
I want to take this moment to publicly speak to our daughter, Zaya. Zaya, as your father, all I've wanted to do was get it right. I've sat back and watched how gracefully you've taken on the public scrutiny. And even though it's not easy, I watched you walk out of that house every morning as yourself. I admire how you've handled the ignorance in our world. I admire it.
He's not himself, though. Like, you're asking everybody to accept his daughter when he couldn't even accept himself.
People think, we are so right because we're helping people achieve what their heart wants. I don't know. Think back to I can think back to when I was 10 or 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. Yeah. If my parents had let me do the things that I wanted to do then, I know that I would have made 99.5% of my choices wrong.
Exactly.
Because I can look back on my life and say, wow, if I'd done that, then I would be doing this, and I'd be doing this, and I'd be doing this, and I'd be doing this. But we have a choice. And the choice is to do it God's way or do it our way. And since God is the manufacturer and wrote the handbook. He knows the way that we're supposed to function.
Yep.
And you have the choice to do that. If you choose not to do that, you can dress it up with all kinds of words about how noble you are and how you're meeting the challenges of life and how you're fighting for the You can say that stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it true.
Well, let's continue watching about the nobleness of his words.
The noble.
To say that your village is proud of you is an understatement. As your father, my job isn't to create a version of myself or direct your future. My role is to be a facilitator to your hopes, your wishes, your dreams.
I'm sure that Adolf Hitler's parents said the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
Adolf, I want you to realize your hopes and your visions and your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And Mao Zedong, I'm sure his parents felt the same way.
Well, there's this idea that the kid knows what's best and that the parent is stupid, which you see all the time on Disney Channel and other stuff like that.
Every television sitcom today that has a father,
it has
the
a
father's
dumb
the
father.
buffoon.
The father's
stupid.
the buffoon. The wife's always the one who wears the pants.
Right.
And the kids happen to be smarter than the both of them.
Put together.
Yeah.
That's the world's way of looking at it. And as we said, you have a choice. You can do it the way that it will work the very best, or you can choose a different way.
Well, check this out.
Zaya, you've made me a better human just simply by being who you were born to be, our baby girl, Zaya Wade.
That just bugs the heck out of me because that's not who he was born as. He was born as a boy. And to give that care to somebody, if an anorexic person walked into a doctor's office and said, hey, I need liposuction. And the doctor said, you know what? You're right. I'm just affirming who you really are. The doctor would be fired. And it's the same exact thing here. You're believing something that's not in accordance with reality.
Right.
And so therefore that needs to be corrected.
And now stands with us again at the foot of a very new era of activism. A new era that demands our collective answer to one simple question. Will we fight for some, or will we fight for all of our people?
I have no idea what that means.
I think she's talking about black trans people.
Well, you know,
not the black people in the womb. But
right, not because more of them get aborted in New York City than any other race. It's interesting, you know, the rhetoric that I've heard from both those people about how there are icons and there are heroes and there are courageous people who are advancing mankind and doing extraordinary things for mankind. You know, watch some films of Nazi Germany. They'll tell you exactly the same thing. Those words, you know, anybody can use the word hero. I can say Charlie Manson is my hero. Charlie Manson, you know what he did for those people? He took all those people who followed him, who had lives that were nowhere, and he made their lives go somewhere. He lifted them up.
Somewhere,
he encouraged them in every way.
Yeah.
Can we call him a hero? I can do that. Does that make a hero by real standards of what a hero is?
No, it doesn't.
No. And where does the word hero come from in the first place? Anyway.
Well, the hero, you have to be virtuous. And that's virtuous with universal standards of right and wrong and not your perceived standards of right and wrong. And where do the
standards of right and wrong come from? As we've said 100 times.
Exactly.
It comes from the manufacturer.
Yep. Let's finish up what she's saying.
Oh, yeah. Don't make this a racial thing.
Let's just name a couple hard truths. First, the intersection of black rights and the rights of the LGBTQIA, trans, and gender nonconforming people continues to be rough. That's a huge understatement. Even as we demand equality at the top of our lungs, we consistently fail to extend our advocacy to protect some of our most vulnerable among us.
She's saying that they're not being protected while she's the one who's actually not protecting her son. They are indulging his delusion and opening him up to a complete world that they're supposed to protect him from.
You know, it's interesting. When all this stuff started coming about transgenderism and changing your gender and so on, And they say, when young people are confused, it's because they're the wrong gender. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking back, when I was a young person, I was confused. If I were born today without the parents that I had, I very possibly could be a very lovely woman right now. Well, maybe not a lovely woman, just a woman. But young people being confused about who am I? What am I doing here? Where am I going? What am I going to be?
Every kid under 18, or maybe even over 18.
I'm thinking back, anybody that I've talked to has said, yes, I went through a transition where, gosh, I didn't know. I didn't feel like I belonged at school. I didn't know if I belonged with my friends. I wanted to be with this group, but I seemed to be with this group. I wanted to be this athlete, but I wasn't an athlete. I wanted to be this popular, but I wasn't popular. I didn't get good grades. I wanted good grades, but those things are normal for everybody. Unfortunately, I have heard many people say, if a child goes to a school counselor and says, I'm really confused about where I am, predominantly school counselors will say, it's because you're the opposite sex, but you're trapped in that body.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be the first answer.
No, it shouldn't.
And if parents and school people were really concerned about the real values of life, they would not take that approach. And there are lots of trans people who now are saying, I'm sorry I did it. It was the worst decision I ever made in my life.
Yeah.
They don't get put on the news because it doesn't fit the rhetoric of people who are in the public eye and the organizations.
Doesn't make money.
And it doesn't make money. But I told you guys, if you invalidate the warranty, the owner's going to have a serious time with you. So enjoy it while you can.
And second, Black trans people are being targeted, terrorized, and hunted in this country. Every day, everywhere. And there's rarely a whisper about it. We honestly don't approach this work as activists or leaders as much as we do this as parents. Parents who love our children and will do whatever the hell we can to keep them seen and secure and safe. This is a conversation worth having in ways that can actually build bridges, right? That don't fan the flames of hatred or division. That don't enable lawmakers or justice systems to look the other way when Black trans people are under attack.
Yeah, she's ugly.
They don't drive more young people to hate themselves or harm themselves. They don't cost people their lives. So we are humbled and we are hopeful for the future. We are hopeful that we may witness a real shift in the fight for justice. The moment the movement makes room for everyone. Everyone. Thank you.
Gee, I think the movement does make room for everyone. Isn't everyone told today you can do whatever you want to do, and no one should tell you what to do?
It's sad because they're the ones who are actually abusing their son. And they should be locked up and thrown in jail because of it.
Well,
because they're also exploiting him.
Of course they are.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was actually Dwyane Wade's ex. His ex-wife is a Christian, and that's actually her ploy against them, is that you're exploiting our son.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that we're going to change anybody's mind about this. And so I just leave you with the idea of, you want to know what's really best, go to the one who knows what's really best, mm-hmm. and find out how you should raise your children. And say, I don't care what the world says, because the world does not know. But the one who made children knows.
Well, I got a whole bunch of millstones I'm going to be selling.
Yeah.
Because Jesus says if you cause one of these little ones to stumble, it's better if you would have a millstone. It's a really big stone that they would use to mill grain with, mm-hmm. to get flour, thrown around your neck and tossed into the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's finish up. Let's watch this. It's like a 30-second clip. It's from an old TV show. and it shows exactly the role of a parent.
Okay.
One of the guys is basically saying, well, why don't you let the kid choose his own way and everything, you know? And the father says something very poignant.
Okay.
Who's to say that the boy would be happier your way or mine? Why not let him decide?
No, I'm afraid it don't work that way. You can't let a young'un decide for himself. He'll grab at the first flashy thing with shiny ribbons on it. Then when he finds out there's a hook in it, it's too late. The wrong ideas come packaged with so much glitter, it's hard to convince them that other things might be better in the long run. And all a parent can do is say, wait, trust me, and try to keep temptation away.
What's it to say if my way's better than your way? Why don't you let the kid decide? Parent says, no, can't let the kid decide.
Well, and the reason you can't let the kid decide is God has charged parents with raising the children in the way that they should be raised. Mm-hmm. That's a parent's job. So it all comes down to, who do you want to please? You want to please yourself?
Yeah.
You want to please your child? Believe me, I believe in pleasing children in a lot of ways. My child likes food. I feed him. Like sleep, I provide a comfortable bed. I provide clothing. I provide activities. I provide things that they're interested in, and they want to take guitar lessons or piano lessons or play sports. I give them lots of things like that. What I don't let them decide is major life issues because they don't have any experience and they have not gained enough knowledge to make good decisions about major life events.
If you think about a basketball coach, because I played college ball, think about a basketball coach. If my coach let me do everything I wanted on the court, and he's like, well, Tim's just being the best basketball player he can. And if he let me do everything that I wanted on the court, it would be detrimental not only to myself on the court, but also to the whole team.
Yeah.
It's the coach's job to say, you know what, this is good, or this could be done better, or you know what, that needs to be completely done away with. And in the same way, the parent needs to be the coach of the whole household and say, you know what, we're trying to get somewhere that's going to be beneficial for everybody, and these are things that are not beneficial.
Right. So if you look at society and you say, well, parents don't do a good job about raising their kids, the answer is not let the kid do whatever he wants. The answer is, come on, parents, let's get together and train as to what is really good and how to do it. I'm so tired of the Band-Aids that this country puts on everything.
Yeah.
You know, you got a problem. We never go to the base of the problem and fix it. We always put a Band-Aid on some symptom of the problem. That is only going to lead to ultimate destruction. In fact, what it's going to lead to is what it's led to in every society in the history of the world. After the loss of moral focus comes dictatorship.
Yeah.
In every single civilization in the world. America, we're right there now. The next thing is going to be dictatorship for America. And believe me, if you think you're oppressed now in America,
you haven't seen anything yet.
When the dictator takes your child because of the way you're raising your child, no matter what it is, if it doesn't agree with the dictator, you're gone. Your child's gone. They wouldn't hesitate to slit your throat and throw you in the trash and do the same with your child.
Yeah.
Because that's what dictators do. Mao Zedong said, to advance communism in China, I would kill 300 million of my people. Is that the kind of place you want to live?
No, not me.
Anyway, that's what happens.
Well, Dwyane Wade's and his wife and his family are so oppressed that they get an award from the NCAA.
Yes, I know. It's sad because... Yeah. Anyway, the good news is there is an answer, and it is the right answer, and it's available.
Yep.
It's not hidden. All you have to do is be big enough to say, I want to get the best answer for my child.
Exactly.
And then go and find it. Dig it out. Dig it out. Nobody's going to come to your door and nail it to your forehead for you. God gives you more credit than that. He thinks you can find it because he's already put it in his word.
Yeah.
So there it is. If you want it, it's there.
There it is. Good stuff.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time on the Timmy Tom Show.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Next time we'll tell some jokes. We'll do some songs.
Yeah.
We'll do something light.
That sounds good.
Okay.